Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In the last episode, well, it's been a while, we had a whole Kirby theory going, me, Tenna, and Mike. Tenna and Mike are on vacation right now, so they're not here. It's just me today. This is a little unscripted video for you. After the last video, I ended up getting to play Kirby Air Riders and also Kirby in the Forgotten Land Star-Crossed World. And I wanted to kind of update my theory video because a lot of things changed or were confirmed, but before I go into that, actually, I did want to talk about one important thing, which is that there's a couple of things I missed in the original video. So firstly, I forgot that base Marks uses shooter cutter, which means that did not originally come from Drasha. That's completely on me. I don't know why I didn't notice that. Like, I even got footage of the original Marks fight, and I just completely forgot about that. Interestingly, that's actually a Sakurai boss that uses shooter cutter, which is pretty interesting. And speaking of Sakurai bosses that use shooter cutter, there's also Dark Mind from Kirby and the Amazing Mirror as well, which I did not know. Like, this isn't, oh, I forgot. This is a, why does he have the shooter cutter attack? And so I thought about it for a while, and my final thoughts on it are pretty straightforward, which are that they are, by Sakurai, the shooter cutter was used as a move to display or to show that the boss is strong, just a powerful boss, while Kumazaki seems to be using it to show that it is a soul boss, specifically. Like, if something has shooter cutter, then it's a soul boss. Boom. You know, pretty straightforward on that. So that explains why Dark Mind and the original Marks had it. Like, it was just not used the same between the two major directors. So there's a little factoid for today. I bet you didn't know that Dark Mind had it. I definitely didn't. And also, another thing I saw in the comments a lot was that people were arguing that Miracle Matter is not actually made of Dream Matter. After rethinking about it, I kind of agree. It definitely is a member of Dark Matter, of like the Dark Matter family, species, hive mind, whatever. It's possible that it's only copying or mimicking the powers of Dream Matter, but it itself is just Dark Matter. Not too surprising. Dark Matter is pretty parasitic in nature, so it's not too surprising. Don't worry, the word parasite will come up again in a little bit. So, even though I might be wrong about that, and I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong about that, it doesn't really change the overall theory. It was just a random throwaway line, honestly. And then the biggest thing I saw in the comments, a lot of people were arguing about the semantics of Magolor's soul. Basically, the argument was pretty simple, and it makes sense. Like, you're literally, it's called Magolor's soul, and you're fighting the thing that is Magolor's soul. Like, that is true. But the argument I was not making is not that you're fighting a soul. The argument I was making is that it's not actually a capital S, soul, capital B boss, as defined by Kumazaki. Those kinds of moves, like those soul bosses always have the moves of previous soul bosses. Always. And he doesn't have any. So it's the Master Crown, it's using, and it says it in the description, it's using his body, it's puppeting his body. The Master Crown itself is what's actually fighting, and so that's why there's no soul attacks, and so it's not a soul boss. I think that's why Kumazaki gave the Grand Doomer a soul phase, honestly, just to sort of get at least a soul boss representation in his first, like, mainline directed game, which makes sense to me. Maybe it doesn't make sense to you, but that's my argument. I'm standing by that. So yeah, still, there is at least one representative because of good old Grand Doomer. So that's good. Moving on, so I'll explain them in the order that I played them. I got to play Star-Crossed. I was kind of, just chilling. And all of a sudden, at the very end of the game, you've got a Genwell Media Nelphalus, which is like probably the worst name for any enemy or boss in any video game I've ever played or heard of. It's so long, so for the rest of the video, I'm not going to be calling him that. Anyways, Gigantic Meatball out here literally just completely proved my wielding a soul as a shield theory. Like, literally, in Phase 3, it becomes like a little spherical eyeball, okay? We've seen that in Curry before, and then it forms a shield around itself, which you have to crack, okay? And then, get this, it only has one move, well, two moves. It rains down meteors, and then it uses Soul Crash. It uses Soul Crash, the same move that Fecto Forgo used. This is a huge deal. So first of all, this means that I was completely wrong, or I was at least wrong to be so non-committal about whether or not Soul Crash or Soul Cannonball are soul attacks. I think that at this point, I think they are. I think that they're just objectively, and I'll actually explain why in just a little bit. So Joker Mothman out here is just like, he showed up, just random out of nowhere, the most Rory Knight kind of character you could possibly expect. Literally, Fecto Elfless' evil secret brother, like literally like a Rory Knight secret cousin level kind of guy. It was a pretty cool fight though. Now, the reason why I think Soul Crash and Soul Cannonball count as soul attacks now is because of something else. So in the true arena, after you've beaten, what's his name? Godzilla Markiplier, that's right, I forgot. After you beat Godzilla Markiplier, you fight Lord of Chaos Elfless, which is pretty crazy. He uses Genwell Spear, pretty cool. And then in the last phase, they kill me with this, okay? It uses what's it? Paramatter. A modern version of Paramatter, literally just Paramatter, which is that's huge. So Drasha's last attack was stolen. Rest in peace. All 4 moves that came from her, gone. The Elfless uses every single one of them. And this proves a theory, okay? That I didn't have time to fit into the last video. The last video took so long to make that eventually I was like, I'm gonna have to cut some stuff. Because I need to release the video. I can keep on, refining it all I want, but if it never releases, it never releases. So anyways, I cut this part of the video, but I had an original mini theory in the theory, which is that Fecto Elfless is and specifically Chaos Elfless, just to say, is the new template for soul bosses going forward for the rest of the series, at least from now on, until the foreseeable future. The reason I think this is simple. I thought it was really weird that it used all but one of Drasha's attacks. Like, it's the only soul boss to blatantly copy almost all of her moves. And so it feels like a reinventation of all of those moves in a modern era. Because a lot of people who are Kirby fans now have not played Canvas Curse specifically. They don't know Drasha. They don't know this template like the Giga fans do. And so this is a way for like the new fans to understand this is what a soul boss does. And now that the last attack has been added, this kind of proves that little theory right, that Fecto Elfless, or Chaos Elfless specifically, is the new standard for soul bosses, and therefore this goes back to my last point, can add a new soul attack. And in this case, 2 soul attacks, Soul Crash and Soul Cannonball. The first soul attacks that actually have soul in the name, which is, in my opinion, it is kind of funny. But anyways, so that also means that I was wrong about something else. I was very insistent in my video that until Fecto Forgo starts becoming amorphous and then does the evil pose, which I had to show 15 times because that's the only footage of the boss at all, I argued that it didn't become Soul Forgo until that point. I think I was just objectively wrong about that. I think that I was overthinking it. You're fighting its soul the whole time. Yes, it's puppeting Leon, but it's also attacking. I think it's pretty clear now that I've thought about it a little bit more that it was always Soul Forgo. The moment we killed it and ran it over with the truck, that it was Soul Forgo from then on. It just didn't pose for its boss splash screen until then. But of course, it was also melting. That is still important. That's still relevant, that it was becoming amorphous and melting. It was clearly going into some, another form or, some other phase, is what I'm thinking. But that's a huge deal. So now I think that as the new template, it's allowed, Fecto Elfless, Chaos Elfless, Soul Forgo, whatever, they're allowed to bring new soul moves to the table. And then what do we get immediately in the DLC? what do we get? We got Job Menace Metamoris out here using Soul Crash immediately. The next soul boss right after Chaos Elfos immediately uses one of the new soul notes. It's very clearly a soul phase. It's a small spherical thing. It puts up a shield, and it's like the culmination of Genwell's entire being. Sorry, not Genwell. John Menace. John Menace's entire being. Now it's huge. So I'm guessing in the future we're going to be seeing Soul Crash appear more often in soul bosses, and I'm also guessing that bosses are going to start making little copies of themselves that shoot soul cannonballs at you while you fight. So that's my bold prediction for that. So I have to appreciate Geriatric Marshmallow on this, because he really just showed up and proved my using my soul as a shield thing right, which is pretty awesome. Also, I wanted to note, there's some sort of, like, theme going here between Fecto Elfilis and Goose Moose, which is that it seems like there's another, just like back in the day there was Dark Matter and Dark Mind, it seems like this is, like, the matter version to Elfilis's mind. Like, Elfilis, right, always is, like, mind control, subterfuge, like, spatial teleportation, summoning, like, large, like, phantom projections of itself. Like, that's how it fights. And then Genwell just hits you with the big spear, hits you with his tail. When it gets big, you know, Garbage Maroon out here just starts picking up buildings and like, using it like a club, as opposed to Fecto, which just, like, summons them and launches them at you like missiles. So I'm guessing that's why Glamorous Marionette's soul form is so weak. I think that he just doesn't have that much soul matter going on. And that's why he's, in general, weaker than his sibling. So anyway, those are all my thoughts on that character, whom I will not name anymore. So I think that's everything from Star-Crossed World that's relevant to the soul theory. There's a lot more going on that was also added, but it's not... Speaking of what I thought wouldn't be relevant, until I found that it was relevant the whole time, Kirby Air Riders. So I was expecting this to be a racing game with Kirby in it. It was. It was also, like, the coolest thing ever. And also had a lot of lore, question mark, question mark, question mark. So there's, like, 3 important pieces of information. The least important one is, like, machines can have souls and wills. They don't ever say the word soul, but they use will, like, so often. It's pretty clear that that's what they're talking about. In the very beginning, they just randomly drop the knowledge that Zora and also Nova are just alive. They are living beings that have wills of their own. And riders can also impart their will / their soul into the air ride machines to make them come to life. So this is just a whole new territory of soul power. That would just, like, these are soul-powered machines. Like, this is crazy. And also, Novas are alive, and that means that they also have souls, which is it's insane. It's insane. And then you actually fight Nova, the heart, and now that we've seen 2 different fights in the modern era, in the original fight against the Nova in, like, Kirby Superstar and Superstar Ultra, I kind of thought that, like, the lower graphics meant that they couldn't really, like, make the heart look like they wanted to, and they sort of realized the design with the metallic coating in Planet Robot. But no, the metallic coating around Stardream Soul OS's final phase is just completely missing. So it seems like the original design of just, like, the big pink, like, metal heart, that is actually what it looks like. And so that means that Stardream was, like, the wrapping around that heart. Like, it had, like, latched itself around the heart of the Nova. And in a sort of interesting way, this means it's almost another example of Magolor. Magolor is not fighting you himself at that point in the fight, and when he becomes Magolor's soul. He's completely been taken over by something else, which is puppeting his body. And that thing is not in its soul form because it doesn't have a soul. It's dark matter. At least that's my theory, anyways. Anyways. And then I think that Stardream was actually the same. You do get to see some attacks that a Nova does. Like, we get to see those Nova attacks in Air Riders, which is insane. Like, the big laser that it does, like the specific way it does laser attacks, and also of course, the big pillars attack. Like, that's very obviously from Nova. So it seems like Stardream was using some moves of the Nova, but then adding its own stuff. And so another thing we know is that Stardream is not alive, which is interesting. It's specified that without Haltman, that it's a cold, mindless machine, which implies that it is not like a Nova. A Nova is alive. It has a will. That means that that big thing that it's the Access Arc, for lack of a better word, is alive. But it's being puppeted by something that isn't alive, that doesn't have a soul. Unlike Magalore, though, or specifically, unlike the Master Crown, Stardream has this soul operating system programmed into it, the final program, whatever that is. So I'm going to stick with my original argument theory that it is a mimicry of soul power as understood by the ancients. And specifically, the way that it's being used is that Stardream has latched itself onto the heart of Nova, and so it's using Nova's power to use soul-like moves. And so that is why the moves look like Marx's moves, because it's Marx got all those moves from Nova. And so even though the power is, like, the person in control is not Nova, Nova's influence is still there. So I just wanted to, like, sort of reaffirm that theory with extra evidence, which is pretty crazy that we got this soul lore in Air Riders. So now machines are allowed to have souls. I wonder if at some point we're going to get a machine that has a soul boss, like a soul phase. Again, Stardream doesn't count, it's just mimicking it. I'm just curious if we're ever going to get that. That would be pretty cool, although obviously it seems like only extremely powerful things like the Novas and the things that Novas can create, and also Zora, are allowed to have souls, because, like, other machines in the series don't seem to have. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I think the Robobot gains a soul after being with Kirby enough. That's kind of crazy. I think they just got the Kirby Air Riders, like, ride machines lore from Kirby Planet Robobot. It's actually internally consistent that certain advanced machinery can be interacted with in a specific enough way, especially if it's made by a Nova or something similar, like a wishmaking machine like Stardream, who made the Robobot armor design. It seems like those things are compatible with soul matter in some way, and that's why Kirby is able to impart a will into the Robobot armor, which we see at the end of the game. Rest in peace. Robobot armor, we love you. Heart. Friend heart. Nova heart, even. So I know that was a big, long ramble, but hopefully that... hopefully all my rambling makes sense. So, in my opinion, I think my original Kirby Soul theory still stands, with some little amendments here and there, and also, just in my opinion, and you can argue this in the comments, I believe that Gigantic Meatball literally just uses, like, Soul Crash, and, like, literally just is using his soul as a shield. Like, I think that it's literally just objective confirmation that that's just a thing that can happen now. Like, it was always a thing from the Grand Doomer onward, but no one's done it until him. And I guess that implies that he's probably as strong as the Grand Doomer, which is actually pretty funny. Like, he's definitely the weaker of the two siblings, for sure. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little ramble video. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, this sort of, like, non-scripted content, please let me know. I would really appreciate it, and I'd love more discussion in the comments. The discussion in the comments after the last video was amazing. And I have more videos in the works. Sorry for the long delay. I've just been doing a lot of different things. Videos are coming up. Deltarune videos, Pokemon videos, maybe some Mario plus Rabbids videos. That's a whole other thing. But I will catch you guys in the next one. See you all. Love you. Bye.